This is part 2 of 7th grade 5.4. Students will use a scale factor to solve for a model or actual dimensions. The standard covered is 7G1. Page numbers out of the hardcover book are 212 through 217B, and out of the practice journal, pages 119 through 122B. When I previously recorded, I forgot to include this last slide, which was dealing with scale factor. We worked with the slide previous to that where we were going through and creating a scale factor, but I forgot to go to the next slide that was dealing with when they give us a scale factor, how to solve. So this is just a continuation of lesson 5.4. So one thing that they're going to ask us to do is they're going to ask us to go through and find missing dimensions using a scale factor. So just a reminder, a scale factor is going to be a scale that does not have units. What's inferred is that those units are the same. If, for example, they give the model units in one unit label and the actual units in another label, then you have to do some converting. So that's what we're going to practice out of this lesson. And I know that you will have some of these on your homework. So here we have find the missing dimension, use the scale factor 1 to 12. So when it is listed like this, that means that those units that 1 and the 12 have the same unit measure. So if they ask for our answer that we're finding in a different unit, we're going to have to convert. So the first one says mattress. The length is 6.25 inches and the length is blank inches. So our scale factor, well, remember when we look at these, this is always going to be the model. And then the second number is the actual. Okay, so my model, if I want to write it out as a ratio, I might do model over actual. So my model was 1 to 12 for my scale factor. The third piece of information was they told me that the model was 6.25 inches. So model was my top number, 6.25 inches. So now I'll go ahead and cross multiply and divide. So 6.25 times 12, and then divide by 1 still gives me the same answer. So I just found out that I have 75 inches. Now to look at my answer to make sure I have it in my final statement, they did want it in inches. So my final answer here would be 75 inches. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the next one. The next one is slightly different. So I'm still going to keep that same scale. Okay, for all of these, it's the same scale model or scale factor. So the next one, we've got a Corvette. The length in the model length is blank inches, so that's what we don't know. And the length, the actual length is 15 feet. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and cross multiply divide. So when I do that, 15 times 1 is 15 divided by 12 gives me 1.25. So now this is 1.25 feet. Here's where I'm saying it's slightly different because they are asking for that in inches. So I have to go back to something that we learned previously. I think it was back in chapter 2, working with conversions. So if I want to change 1.25 feet, and I'm going to write this off to the side in a different color. I want to change 1.25 feet equals blank inches. Okay, so my conversion, if I don't remember, I can look out of the back of the book. Hopefully you remember the conversion since it is US, but my conversion is 1 foot is the same as 12 inches. Okay, so now I'll cross multiply divide, so I'm going to end up taking 1.25 times 12. Now some of you might know to just go ahead and multiply by 12, and that's okay. So here I ended up with 15 inches. So the Corvette model was 15 inches. And the actual length was 15 feet. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our next one. So I can keep my scale. Well, I guess I'll rewrite it. Okay, so our next bit of information, it's still 1 to 12. And it says a water tower has a depth of 32 centimeters. So that was the model. So 32 is the top, centimeters. And they want me to change this into how many meters deep it is. So we're going to first do it into centimeters. So we're going to cross multiply, divide. 32 times 12 gives us 384 centimeters. Now we have to remember it's asking for the final answer in meters. So this is where we're going to have to go back to remembering that King Henry dies by drinking chocolate milk, or King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk. And then I'll put my M's behind each of these. This is a DKM. Okay, so now I want to change, right now I have centimeters, and I want to change that 384 into meters. So equals blank meters. Okay, so I'm going from centimeters to meters. So 1, 2 backwards or to the left. Do the same thing with my decimal. It's not showing, which means it's here. 1, 2. I ended up with 3.84 meters. So in this part of the lesson, they're having you go back and review those things that you have previously learned. Okay, so let's go ahead and do one more, and then I'm going to have you try one on your own. Okay, so erase this. Looks like I'm going to need this in a little bit too. So I'll rewrite that. Okay, so let's go ahead and try another one. So this next one, our model over actual was 1 to 12, still for our scale factor. This is our model, this is our actual. And here they're giving me the model of 5.4 feet. Okay, for the wingspan of a bird probably. So now we're gonna go ahead, cross multiply, divide to figure out our missing spot. So 5.4 times 12 divided by 1 still gives me 64.8. And that's feet. Now I need to change that into, this time they want to change it into yards. So 64.8 feet equals blank yards. Okay, my conversion between feet and yards. So now I'm kind of focusing just on the bottom part of this. I'm just writing it right underneath so that I don't have to erase. So let's see, my conversion is 3 feet equals 1 yard. So now we'll cross multiply, divide. So 648 divided by 3 is going to give us our answer, which is 21.6 yards. Okay, so I want you guys to try the last one. And I'll move this down so that you can see your conversions for the metric system. So it says a football helmet, the diameter is blank millimeters, so that was the model. And the diameter of actual is 21 centimeters. So go ahead, pause your video and work your way through this one, making sure that you give your final answer in millimeters. Okay, so you should have ended up with 17.5 millimeters for the football helmet on the model. Okay, so once again, scale factor, when they give you those, they are in the same units. So you have to make sure that you're paying attention to how they want their answer. Sometimes they'll want them in the same units, and sometimes they change the units. So you're gonna have to go back and reference back how to convert, which is something that we did back in chapter 2. Good luck with this.